and welcome to Mintface Talks Acting. My name is Plummer.
I'm Mckenzie Alexander.
I'm Oliver Melvin.
I'm Orla O'Sullivan.
And I'm James Calloway.
We are here to demystify all the questions you have about the acting industry, or at least try to.
In these podcasts, we'll be interviewing people in the industry who we've invited to give you valuable advice.
We will be learning as much as you are along the way, as we are also trying to figure it out for ourselves.
And we'd love to hear your questions and topics you'd like to discuss, so feel free to touch base on Twitter @MintfaceProd, or leave us a comment on our website mintface.co.uk, or by email team@mintface.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to Mintface Talks Acting. I'm Mckenzie Alexander.
I'm Oliver Melvin.
I'm Plummer.
I'm Orla O'Sullivan.
And I'm James Calloway.
And we were really fortunate enough as our company Mintface to go to Surviving Actors 2019. Yeah. We had such a good time, didn't we?
Yeah,
it was very insightful.
It's really weird because you get to meet loads and loads of different actors in London. You get to see the quantity of people that are actually there.
Yeah.
It's quite remarkable.
I saw so many people that I knew from other things and just bumped into them. It was really nice.
Yeah. So many faces you've seen years ago, like, oh, you're still here.
Exactly.
You're still here.
Oh, it's you.
It gives you like a bit of extra motivation as well when you leave. You're like, okay, I've had a good day around acting-y stuff.
Yeah.
And
everyone's so nice as well.
Yeah, because it was the whole day. We got there.
Well, you got there really early.
We got there so early, didn't we?
In front of the
queue was big,
yeah.
so
literally.
So if you go next year, get there early.
Definitely. Definitely.
That's
There's
one
lots
piece
of they were casting
and they did an Ace Meals for Monologues thing where you did a monologue and you gave some food to the homeless.
Good experience as well. If you haven't been in an audition room for a while, you can just go
or ever.
Yeah, or ever. And you can just go in
getting your
and
face out as well.
And I think we learned a whole wealth of information.
We did,
Amazing.
which we are going to share with you today.
Exactly. I think that maybe we should start off with how you should start off in the industry before you're getting involved with all these casting directors and agents, just what to work on for yourself. And I think that comes with your like headshots and your profile, really.
Yeah, it's your spotlight CV, really. It's the actors' bread and butter. That's what they called it in one of the seminars that we went to. So Ollie and I went to a really cool seminar actually, which was hosted by a lady called Karen McLeod, and then Olivia Britton from Gina J and Sharon Serentino. And they were just really insightful, weren't they, about what casting directors are looking for, because obviously you get so many people coming in for these jobs, so they're looking through hundreds and thousands of pictures, and that is the first thing they see, and they said that is the most important
thing I think was the headshots, wasn't
it?
Like India said, it's the first thing they see. So the first major thing was to make sure, kind of obvious really, but to make sure the headshot looks like you. And it's not some catfish job.
But not covered in makeup, but just naturally how you would normally...
A portrayal of you.
Yeah, as if you were going out on just a normal day.
Carol said that, she said, what is intriguing me? So when she looks at headshot, what intrigues her? It's all in the eyes.
Yeah, I had one with Michael Cox from Hammond Cox, and this is about commercial casting, and what he had to say about headshots, this is from a commercial casting point of view, is that he needs to see consistency in the headshots. They need to know who's going to walk into the room, so they don't want you to look wildly different in every single picture. And he also said avoid photographs that show you in character, which is really interesting because every agent I've spoken to has said the opposite.
The sense that I got from Caroline, Olivia and Sharon was that their job is to cast people into many different roles. So I think just to have a very honest photo, which they can then assess as to what you might be looking like. They mentioned no glasses.
Unless you have them, obviously.
Unless obviously you have glasses. Them and need them.
I actually, I did a headshot session and I brought glasses with me. I thought, it'd be great. It's a bit lawyery. It was a bit high schooly and stuff. And then actually, when I got the headshots back, it looked really caricature-y with glasses.
Well,
and actually, the light reflects off your glasses and the picture isn't as good. So
for sure.
I think it's important to remember that casting directors, if you have a headshot without glasses, it's easy for them to imagine what you'd look like with glasses. You don't need to show them everything.
Another thing that Michael Cox said, when you're doing your photos on Spotlight, people asked about a production shot, if you've got one of you acting, and he said it is useful, but only when it shows maybe a bit more of your body, so like a bit of your physicality or something, not just like you singing in side profile. That doesn't show anything that you haven't already seen in the headshot, so think about what else you can provide.
I think a really interesting point as well that Carol, Olivia and Sharon also made is that they don't have much time doing this. So they need to see things that kind of pop out. So you've clicked on someone's face who you find really intriguing or expressive or whatever. They said, like, don't make it more than like 6 pictures. They don't.
Yeah.
They know what you look like after about 3. Maybe have, like Orla said, a production shot or whatever, but it doesn't need to be, one up with my hair up, one with my hair down, one in the orange top, one in the blue top. It just needs to be a kind of a nice progression of what you look like, but really no more than 6.
I think they almost said, actually, they said when they see profiles with loads of photos, they actually just click off straight away.
Yeah, of course they do, because they have so many people that they've got to look at.
Doesn't really
it's
work
just
in your favour.
It's another filter, isn't it?
I think also keep it simple. Don't wear clothes with huge patterns on. Don't wear neon clothing or something. Just keep it
solid
simple,
colours.
solid plain colours that you would wear on a normal day out. But also in terms of backgrounds, don't have too much going on in the background, so they're not looking at a bird in the tree rather than your face. It has to, like, they want to be looking at you with the simplest background, so you pop against that and it catches their eye.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually, are, they're from the creative industry. So Carol used to be a professional photographer, so she understands skin tone and composition of skin tone to the background and stuff. So actually do take that into consideration when you're looking to either get headshots or kind of reviewing your headshots. It is really, really important, because all of these people are creative and know what a good picture looks like.
I mean, like, across the board though, with all these workshops and seminars, when you're listening to information, it's from these people who, as you said, they are creative, and everyone has their own way of being creative. So there might be a few contradictions in what people are saying, but obviously there is, a good photo is a good photo. You can't have it blurry. You can't. There's like standard, and then there's own creative like flair which you can bring to it.
It's probably worth mentioning. Obviously, headshots are very expensive. People charge a lot. Something that they did mention was, if you do struggle to afford that sort of money, they said you are able to do it yourself. Again, it's not going to be the same sort of quality, but as long as you've got good lighting,
and you've got someone else taking the photo,
shows your face
with a good smartphone. They did say,
obviously no selfies.
And it's important to get it right. Just look at a picture and think, is that me? And if you believe that, then everyone else will.
Also, don't ask your mum. Terrible idea.
Or your nan. Every picture will look beautiful.
My mum commented on my photo on Facebook and said, "No, not a fan."
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
My mum got mine framed.
She's meant to love you unconditionally.
Anyway, go on.
No, she. No. So basically, I still stand with this. That if you don't have enough money, then get somebody who knows what they're doing with the camera to do it. I've done that before. It's worked in my favour before. Great. I've also had advice that if you go with a notable person, because there's a list of headshot photographers recommended on Spotlight, and if you can search for that and you can find one of them that are listed, then that comes up underneath your photo, and sometimes a casting director will appreciate that you have spent the money to do it.
And you do look more professional.
You do.
Yeah.
Just to say, so there's not like one final point on everything. There's pros and cons to both.
Of course. So I think next thing to talk about then is obviously once they've liked you and they've clicked onto your CV, it's to talk about credits. And one of the really interesting points, which I haven't heard in talking to loads of people about it, is that when you have your credits listed down, you have your dates next to your credits, whether that's stage or screen or workshops or whatever. The casting ladies that we were talking to said, if you have been, for some reason or other, out of the industry for a while, and you've got some really amazing credits, but they are from 10 years ago, take the dates off. Like, just take them off. It's fine. It will look like more of a cohesive, better CV, and casting agents they probably will try and find out where that,
EastEnders gig or
where the EastEnders gig is from or whatever, but they're not going to look at it and see, oh God, 2005, why haven't they done so much for so long? Like, do you know what I mean? So that was a very interesting point.
Michael Cox said something about, someone asked a question about tabbing your spotlight, so you can actually change it. So if you've done lots of different things, maybe you don't want the most recent credit to come up, you want your film credits to be up first, or maybe your TV credits, whatever your most, whatever your most prominent. So He said, yeah, that's definitely useful. Depending on what you want to show, just don't have too many tabs, just 4 or 5, and then leave it at that.
I think it was Olivia mentioned actually, or Caroline said that try and make it as easy for casting directors and agents as possible to see it, and not have maybe one credit under musical and loads under stage. Just put them all on the stage one. But take advantage of those tabs because they're really useful.
Did you get spoken to about, okay, maybe if you don't have that many professional credits, about stuff that you've done at university or like drama school or anything like that?
Yeah, so they did talk a lot about that, and they said we'd rather see a smaller CV with professional, productions on than, seeing a CV that's just diluted with loads of stuff that it is not by any notable director or in a notable theatre. So yeah, only professional productions. Actually, a lot of questions came up about workshops and about what constitutes as a workshop, and they said really the only workshops we want to see on there are 2-week workshops at the National where they're workshopping a new play, or a workshop at the other palace where they're workshopping a new musical. It's not where you've gone along to the Actors Centre. No offence to the Actors Centre, I love the Actors Centre, but it's not going along to the Actors Centre for half a day and doing a Meisner class. It has to be something with a notable director where it's you've gone along and you've had to audition for it. So that was a really good thing to talk about.
Can I just say as well, Ollie, I know you got contacted, I'm not going to say what it was for, but for a large scale touring production as an understudy role because of one of your university credits. And that was just with the Drama Society at your university. And they contacted him, and this is like a big production we're talking about, so I don't know, it's...
No, I think if it works in your favour, if it's something which is going to... I think you've always got to think of the agent to casting director. So it's something which, if they're going to go, oh, okay, you've done a few productions of that, or you've done it with a director, it may be amateur, but you've done it with a director who's now working another theatre, then I think that's definitely worth putting on. So I am slightly, I play devil's advocate again, slightly reluctant to take on all the advice about professional credits, but I think it's, if it's something which is going to make you stand out and look better, then whack it on.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And when we were in Olivia from Gina J, she was saying that if you do want to get into film, you don't necessarily have to, looking at your CV credits, if they've seen a stage show you're in that they maybe didn't see, but if they loved the reviews and they said the show was really good, they'll probably bring you in for that. Or bring you in for a film or something, because if the review was good and you're in it, then chances are you were good too because you had to audition to get in.
I think it all just depends on your stage in your career as well. Because if you were literally just starting out and you have done a couple of like decent workshops and you have got a couple of amateur gigs on there, I would just say stick them on there. I mean, I don't know if you can get onto Spotlight with having those credentials, but I think starting out with something is better than starting out with nothing, because then they can see where you're hoping to go into. Yeah,
that's a really good point. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you're someone who has got tons and tons of credits and they aren't wholly professional and they're stuff that you've been working on yourself or whatever, they always say as well, link to a website, and anything you want can go on there. And I think that's also a really, really good thing, because that's just your own branding and you don't have to kind of go by any rules in that sense. It's yours, so that's also a really good thing.
I've actually heard really contrasting things to that.
Everyone's had
Is that about a personal website?
There is always I forgot who mentioned it actually, but they said that actually Spotlight's all they need. They just need your pictures, your show reel, voice clips, and your credits, and that's literally it. They haven't got time to be clicking on various websites and stuff.
I think again that just depends on who you are in your career, because there's
but don't pressure yourself to go out there and make the best website ever, because your Spotlight does a lot of the talking for you, really.
Let's move on to sort of last bits of your Spotlight CV, skills and abilities, and something which they kind of made a big thing about purely because I think if you're putting stuff on there which you say you're skilled at, make sure you can do it. So a good example they use is horse riding, which a lot of people claim to be able to do. A lot of period dramas now using horse riding. Guys, if you can't horse ride, don't whack it on. But obviously if you can, put it on. Just make sure that you are You've been on a horse maybe a couple of times.
No, I think
been
it's putting the highly skilled thing next to it.
Yeah,
Instead-
yeah.
Well, on a
horse
tour,
like
But
a
well,
I've been told if you can get on a horse and you can do a trot, put it down.
Well,
just don't make
I-
it highly skilled.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
that quite a while ago. I put horse riding on my CV, and I was like, "It's fine, I'll get away with it." I want to be in a period drama, and then I actually got cast in a short film, and I was really allergic to horses, and I couldn't even go near them.
Did you even
hang
know
on, you've
that?
literally done what Joey Tribbiani
no,
does in
no,
Friends.
I had no
you put
idea.
something on there knowing that you wouldn't be able to do it.
No, I thought, how hard could it be? Sit on a
You're
horse and just-
allergic to
No,
horses.
I didn't know that until I got there.
I
So
see. You
what
didn't.
happened?
You didn't know.
I had loads of antihistamines,
And you missed it.
and I was just puffy-eyed, and yeah.
Anyway,
There we go.
the bottom line of that is try and make sure that you're proficient at the things that you put down on your list. That's
I think accents come under it as well.
super
So
important. Yeah, so obviously we've got skills and accents. I think for the accents, if you are going into an audition and you do an accent and you cannot do it,
don't do
don't
it.
do it.
No, I
just
know.
don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
Plus, I have gone into auditions and I have had to do, I think, 5 different accents. And one of them, I had to do an audition speaking German. Can't speak German. I didn't have on my CV that I could do any of the accents on there. So.
Do you know what? I've actually been to an audition where I had to speak about 4 different accents, and I had to speak in German as well. Weirdly enough.
I didn't know that.
And the whole time I was worried about, the people in front of me thinking, oh my God, is she doing the accent? So you're just at a detriment to yourself, really, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to try and achieve this accent that I just can't do. So yeah.
Yeah,
But
let's-
if you can do an accent, like put it down, because what I didn't realise, an agent told me the other day, casting directors and people looking for actors can search on Spotlight by accent. So if you haven't written it down, you won't come up.
Yeah.
So do put it down if you can do it.
Yeah, and also actually outside of surviving actors and stuff, when I had headshots done, the lady I had them done with said that I actually looked quite Irish. So that she said, "Can you do an Irish accent? Because it might be worth you learning one, because maybe you learn an accent based on how you look. If you look European, or if you look French, Italian, Irish, learn the accent, because you're getting brought in initially on your headshot on how you look. So learn the accent based on how you look.
To tie this all up in a bow, I have heard a lot of stuff will be really contradicting, but I have heard the same advice for this over and over again, is that don't clog it up, don't put in don't put in gardening, because that's an option. You can put in gardening, so don't put in gardening unless you're like doing all of these amazing botanical projects, just like
With David Attenborough.
yeah, I know. Just put on the stuff that you can do, stuff that you're good at. Don't clog it up.
And I think as well, they said, keep committed to the skills that you're doing. So if you say that you can do horse riding and you are really proficient at it, it might be a good idea just to make sure that you can do it once in a while.
I will
Or, you
get
know what I
down
mean?
to
And,
the farm.
practice your accents
Refresh
and
it.
practice your skills, because it will only be of a benefit to you.
Let's scroll back up to the top of the Spotlight profile and talk about playing ages. The sort of overriding advice that all 3 of these lovely ladies gave was that it's basically 5 years. So no more than 5 years between what you can play. I originally put down 16, I think.
Hilarious.
And then someone, no, from advice.
Really?
Yeah. And then people, obviously nowadays, look with new BBC and Netflix dramas, they're getting, obviously writing for a wide range of people and younger now, so they get people in who are that age. So play to between 5 years is what the advice was.
It's really funny because I was on Twitter the other day. There was people, casting directors, sort of saying about that and do a true playing age, and they print screened a Spotlight profile that said playing age 16 to 99.
Aww.
Oh no.
So be truthful.
I think, remember, with 16 is still in secondary school,
Yeah.
and 17 is college. I think that's kind of like a way of saying it.
And there are actors as well whose USP will be that they are tiny and they look like they are that age. So if you come in and you're like, yeah, I could kind of maybe pass as that age, like it's just not going to wash. It's just going to be hilarious.
You're like an idiot and your agent will like an idiot.
A little side point though, I thought that casting directors weren't really allowed to ask your age anymore, but I keep on being asked for my age.
Yeah, you
don't say it.
you don't have to say it, but
Yeah.
isn't that a bit awkward when they're like, so how old are you? And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not at liberty to say.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't know.
deep.
So speaking about adverts, let's very quickly talk about show reels and voice reels. If they haven't seen you before, that really at the moment is the number one go-to, I think, for people to decide on whether they want to get you into the room. Now, obviously, show reels, this kind of stuff, like with headshots, there's loads of different advice as to what to do. Well, one lady said to me, actually, you can record yourself on your mobile, even if it's a monologue. There are companies that charge a lot of money, and I've done it with my friend, actually, and being a part of his show reel. Again, like with the headshots, they do charge a lot of money. So if you are able to do it yourself, then by all means do. And my show reels, actually, is one that I put together myself. But I think the most important thing is to have something, whether it's a monologue you've done or a sort of snippet of a short film you've been a part of. I think it's important to have something up there.
We'll talk about these people later, but further down the line, I went to another seminar with Olivia Britton, actually, about casting. But a very interesting point that she said was that any on-screen time that you possibly have, even if it's 5 seconds and it's from a professional, it's a cameo and you're walking on the BBC, put it in. Like,
dream.
It is, it's a complete dream. So like, put any actual professionally produced stuff, put it on your show reel, no matter how big, how small.
Because I've heard that they can't call you in for film or TV a lot of the time if you haven't got a show reel, because they
is that right?
Yeah, they can't risk the time.
Yeah,
they want to see how you look on camera
screen.
and how you move.
Yeah.
Because headshot is usually, I don't know,
Chest height up.
and so they want to see just the rest of your body and how that looks on camera as well.
Yeah.
And timing of show reels, what's everyone's advice being
I've
given?
heard not more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, 2 to
Same.
3 minutes.
I think mine's bang on 2.
Yeah,
I think mine's 2 minute 20 or something.
Yeah.
mine's about 2:20.
Yeah.
And I keep getting told no montages.
Yes, no montage.
Yeah, no, don't.
What do you mean by a
don't.
montage?
Clips of them as different people.
So it's
Coming
basically
in.
a range of
Like
a
different
music
clips, like really
montage.
quickly interspersed with a soundtrack over top before
Yeah.
they
Oh,
go
so
into
like
the things.
quite cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Seriously
Cool.
cinematic, but it's not fulfilling what the agent,
Yeah.
the casting director, needs.
Just go straight in with your best scene, and also if there's 2 of you in a scene or something, just make sure it's mainly about you and it doesn't become their show reel.
Voice reels. I think again, it's showing off your skill set, isn't it? So if you can do an accent very well, or you speak a language, then that's worth putting on there. Even if it's not for a voiceover, it's for a play, for example, and you need to speak another language, you need to do an accent, having that on there.
Go on, give us a bit of Spanish,
helpful.
Ollie. Ollie can speak Spanish, by the way.
He's
just
very good at it.
disclosure. It's
Yeah.
the only
If
If
thing
anybody
that he
wants to
talks
cast
about.
him.
Just check my Spotlight page on www. No, yeah.
With voice reels, you have like corporate ones, you have character ones. Did you get any advice from how to do these separate ones?
Have a yes, I have a couple of commercials, a narrative. So I use my Spanish in that one as well. I also included actually a Shakespearean sonnet. Don't have masses, keep it to like a good number of clips.
In one of my seminars, Ellie Collier-Bristow actually said sound is just so important in both show reel and voice reel.
Yeah.
Don't even try and put it up if it's got rubbish sound, because they'll be listening to it and thinking, what is this, straight away. You can get away with a slightly bad image, but you can't get away with bad sound, is what she said, Ellie Collier-Bristow. Fantastic.
Nice.
And just again to tie that off in a nice little ribbon, in my seminar with Tim Kent and Steve Finn, they said that everything along like headshots, showreel, CV, voice reel, everything is a business, and you are trying to sell yourself as a product. And if your product isn't good, then nobody is going to buy it. So,
Oof, harsh.
well, that is kind of the way that they. That's maybe not the way they said it.
I'd buy you, Mckenzie.
But no, it's just very important that you get your product looking as good as possible, and that's your profile. And then you can start contacting your agents and casting directors. Yes.
So I'm going to speak to you a little bit about agents and how to approach them and how to manage relationships with them. So myself and Ollie actually went to a seminar from Alice Coles. She's from the Artist Partnership, and Hermione Haplin from Seinu Talent Agency. It was really useful, actually. You found it useful, wasn't it? There's quite a lot they covered in there.
Yeah, lots of really interesting stuff. They kind
of bounced off each other. But I think they were quite in agreement, weren't
but they got rid of a lot of the. What am I trying to say?
They demystified the process of aid. That's what they did. They took away the smokes and mirrors. Yeah. So I guess the first thing that's important is really do your research into the agent you want. Maybe, I guess a first step would be to look at actors you like, things you've seen, and then see what agents or who they're signed to, and that's kind of a good starting point. But make sure you do your research and find that if an agency specialises in comedy and you want to do comedy, go for that. There's theatre agents, musical theatre, and there's some that just focus a lot on film and screen. But firstly, you've got your spotlight already, and the first stage is to email them, but make it personal. I think Alice Coles from the Artist Partnership was saying they don't want a blanket email that's been sent to 400 different agents.
Don't BBC, don't BCC and CC.
Yeah, don't
people
blank
in,
copy and put everyone's in there.
Yeah,
everyone's emails addresses.
You got to. I mean, you're wanting to strike up a relationship with these people, and they're going to represent you. So, the first email you send them is going to be, or has to be, something which you then develop, together.
Can I just say as well, I've done the kind of emailing out agents thing, and I actually noticed an increase in replies when I just put a little bit more information about me as a person and why I think I would suit that agency as a person.
Yeah.
So I noticed it.
I think setting yourself, like Mckenzie mentioned before, as a product and what you can bring to the agency makes a big difference in terms of if you can get replies from people.
I've personally myself just, switched agencies, but the agency I'm with now is much more bespoke and personal, and for my personal preferences, it's so much better having a relationship where you feel like it's a two-way thing. So always starting off on that right foot, always introducing yourself. It's a thing that you're going to make them money, they're going to make your money, so it's a nice way just to kind of start off a relationship right, I guess. Because you are going to be in a lot of contact with these people as well
for years.
For years,
so,
hopefully, if you get a nice prosperous relationship going.
Yeah, I think Indy makes a good point there, and I think you need to decide if you want to go with an agency that is huge and has all the big names and everything. I mean, I'm sure it has its. They'll have their pros and cons, but I guess for me personally, a con to that, a negative thing would be you sort of get lost in the field, really. Yeah. Whereas if you want sort of more personal, tailored management where the agency maybe represents 20 people, you're going to get a lot more time with them to sort of manage your career.
It's about setting yourself in your head what you want and then targeting those people. So if you do want to go with massive named agencies, go for it, but it's just about knowing that beforehand so that you can make the process easier and quicker for you.
Actually, with the whole emailing, I guess there's a lot of missed about how do we email, like who do we email. A lot of agencies will have a sort of a standard email. It might be office@blah-blah-blah-agency.co.uk or whatever. So just look on their FAQs on their websites and just see if they prefer an email to that standard one, or if they'll say, right, find the agent you want to email them directly.
Or letters, some of them still have letters.
Some still have.
Well, the big agency, I think Independent, United, a lot of people ask for post applications. The second time round, I sent emails out. I targeted certain people in terms of directly emailing a person who maybe represents some people, or you see that on their books that there's space for you, like that type of person isn't representing someone who looks like you, so you can target that person on the agency and go, listen, I think you could really help me out and represent me well. I think that you slightly go against the grain of obviously what they want, but I think that sometimes is a risk worth taking.
Because
IMDb Pro
if they look at you, they're not going to say, oh no. If you're perfect for them, they're not going to be like, oh no, I don't want you because you didn't send a letter or you didn't email office at.
Yeah. I hope agents wouldn't be like that.
But if you do want to do that, IMDb Pro, you to get 30 membership. I've used like 3 different emails to get 30-day memberships. But you get a free 30-day trial and bit of info. You get most of the email addresses, private ones. I mean, people won't mind me saying this because it is on the internet. Yeah. So if you want to target those people, then
that is super legit as well. 3 of the people that I spoke to in all different seminars, they all said either do what Ollie did and
IMDb
use
Pro,
different
it's
use
good.
different emails or pay for IMDb Pro. I mean, I think it really genuinely does pay off.
It's about 19. Actually, no, it's £19.72 a month. Just saying.
Do you pay, James?
Yeah, I do pay for it. But
More
also,
abiding citizen.
but I think it's important to remember they get a lot of emails and like sometimes hundreds a day. I think one of them said they got like
I think Hermione said that she puts them into a folder.
Yeah,
and then goes through them later.
Yeah, but they get a lot of emails, so make yours stand out. And if you're doing a really personal email, it might be something like, "Hello, I'm blah 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 blah. I've just finished, I don't know, drama school you've been to." Say a little bit about yourself as well. Always include your spotlight link, so that's got all the information that they need on there, and which have your headshots on. You can also attach headshots, but I've heard some conflicting views on
I've heard put it in the body of the email.
Yeah,
in a
not
small
as an
little
attachment.
picture.
That is what all
Interesting.
casting directors say, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to say as
interesting.
well.
Just because if they see the little attachment,
Yeah.
then they know that's going to be like a download. They can see the size of it as well.
Yeah.
So if you put it in the body, then they just open it and they see it.
So
They
they
already
see
see
it,
it.
and your
Yeah.
face is there, and they go, "Oh, I remember that person."
Yeah,
or,
that's-
And
"Oh,
people
that's a good
won't.
point.
They're not going to download stuff from people they don't know because it might
No.
be viruses or
And it also
whatever.
just clog up their computers.
Yeah.
Annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a big important thing is obviously if you're looking at representation, that's a reason to email. But make sure when you're emailing, you have something to show off or email about. Whether it's new headshots, you've got a new show reel. You know, I know people won't, but don't send an email to say hi, how you doing, because they really don't have any time. Make sure it's targeted to them, know exactly what you're going to say, and sell yourself as best you can. But make sure, like I said, you've got something to show off.
Yeah, and say why you want them to represent you. Maybe you've seen a client of theirs on stage or in a film and said, "I really love that work." I think it's good to go and see a lot of theatre and watch a lot of films. Personally, for me, I had more interest when I said, "Look, I saw this person that you represent. They were fantastic in this. I've seen this person in this." It shows you're taking an interest and you've done your homework, and they like that. And actually, in terms of having a relationship with your agent, there was a seminar with James Davies from Sanu as well. He said that agents like actors who are always available as they can be. They understand people have got jobs, but they need to be flexible. You're communicative and you're hardworking, and they also want to see that you're passionate about what you do. You're not in it for a hobby. You're in it for the long game, and you're in it because you want to make a living out of it. And if you can have that emanating from you, then that will build up a good relationship because then they'll want to find you work.
Just like communication with your agent as well. Like obviously everyone has a part-time job or has something on the side to keep them going while they pursue acting, but just keep your agent updated as to when you have work and when you're not available, and they understand you've got other things on.
And a really interesting thing that Olivia Britton actually said is, there's a comment section at the bottom of the Spotlight pages where agents can actually write little comments about, why you would be better than someone else for the job. So, if you're contacting your agent and keeping in contact with your agent all the time, that, you've just got a singing teacher and she's an amazing lady and you're going up for the auditions at Hamilton and that lady happens to know loads of people at Hamilton, you just never know. You never know the strings that are going to come together from keeping your agent involved, because they're just going to have more points to sell you.
Yeah, definitely keep your
before.
agent updated about who you've met in the industry.
Completely. I know I try and do that whenever I go
I do.
to any access centre things or anything like that. It's always just good to keep them updated so that they're in the loop about what they need to tell other people to get you the job as quick as possible.
Did they mention anything about being in the meeting with an agent and trying to gain representation in the interview, the general meeting with them?
James Davies from Sanu had said it's important to have goals, know what you want. It might be an idea to have a career plan or an idea of a career plan. And if that agent's meeting you, has agreed to meet you, then that's good. Like, they're interested. They've seen your headshot, they've seen your show reel, and they want to see what more you have to offer and get to know you as a person. So
Just picking up on the meetings, actually, although they've seen your spotlight and your headshot, it's quite good to go with a hard copy of your CV. I know I went for one meeting when a lady actually thanked me because I think at the time she'd forgotten to bring it, or it just makes you look a bit more professional if you're coming prepared with headshots, 8x10s, and your CV available to give if they want to see it.
And other times when you need to come prepared is when you're meeting casting directors. There were so many seminars and stuff with casting directors because they're just so important for an actor to be making contact with, because pretty much they get you cast for things. They bring you into the room. So a lot of us went to different seminars about casting directors, and I think we're going to start off by talking about how we are getting to the casting director.
Yeah.
Did anybody have...
Getting to the room.
Getting to the room.
Be on time.
Be on time, yeah, exactly.
I've got a good thing that Caroline McLeod and Olivia Britton and Sharon Sorrentino said, which is that, you know, they get hundreds of emails a day, but they don't not look at them. They are all looked at. So have, we said it before actually, but have the small headshot in, make it as easy for them to kind of remember, and they'll, you know, they do look at them. They look through everything. So, you know, keep on emailing. And Olivia Britton said, you know, we might be casting for something that looks exactly like you. So just, you know, keep on doing your homework and remember that it could happen.
Keep the emails brief and don't send them an essay of what you're doing. Just keep it, you know, here's what I'm up to, here's my headshot, here's my show reel. Thanks very much.
I went to a seminar called When Nobody Knows You Exist, and it was hosted by...
That's all of us.
It's such a shame. And it really fitted me. I was right in with the crowd there. No, and it was hosted by Ellie Collier-Bristow and David Williams-Bryan. And Ellie was saying, when you're emailing, choose the headshot that you're sending to them. You can request a general meeting with a casting director, which I thought was just a bit like bold to be like, can I meet you, take you for coffee or something, just have a chat about me. And I thought that was just a bit bold, but she was like...
is this when you've got an audition coming up with them?
No,
she just having a chit chat.
She said,
wow.
I have actually done that before.
Yeah.
I have got no responses, but I have done that before, just a coffee.
And I was like, yeah, it was just... For me, I was like, I feel like that was a bit bold, but obviously not. I might try it, see how it works. We'll get back to you.
See how it works.
And,
Do you send your spotlight as well, like with your, or is it just a
send your
random
spotlight as
email?
well. Yeah, no, because you need to have something which attracts them to you as well.
Please
You
meet
can't
me
just
for a
say,
coffee.
meet me for coffee. From
weird,
Mckenzie. No, and another thing she said, which I thought was, this is a quote as well, flattery gets you a long way. I don't think there'll be too many conflicting points about this. If you did love something that they did, mention it, why you loved it, and if it's a project that you can see yourself in, just be like, I love the humour of this. It's so particular and it really appealed to me.
Yes, but don't stroke their egos. I think it was Caroline actually at that workshop that Indy and I went to. Don't go over the top. Yes, mention it, but don't. They get so many.
There's a way of doing it without sounding creepy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
sure.
completely. Another thing that Olivia Britton said in Casting 101, which is something that me and James went to. You know, when you're when you're contacting casting directors, only, again, this is the same as agents, but only email when you've got something to say. Yeah. So, new show reel or play dates or
headshots.
New headshots, something like that. And, you know, get IMDb Pro, do your research, find out what they are casting, and find out if there's anything, you know, in those scripts or in those bios of those potential characters that fit your bio. So in that way, you know, you can be proactive, be your own agent in that sense. Yeah. And that, you know, they all said, all of them said, you know, it could be your lucky day. We could come across you, or your image could stick in your mind, and we could bring you in just because we like the look of you.
It could be right timing, right place, everything.
Yeah.
But if you do have an agent, it's also worth saying to your agent, look, this person's casting this. I know he or she is. Can you just try and get me a meeting if you've got the right contacts? Yeah. So do your research. It makes your agent's job easier as well. And again, going back to what we said earlier about the relationship, if you do your part of the job too, the relationship will just be so much better and stronger.
Yeah.
Ellie also mentioned in her when you're emailing them, sell the feeling of being in the room with them in your email. And I think that's a nice way to describe when people usually go, be yourself in an email, write it with personal touch. I think it's the best way is, what am I going to be like when I go in the room? That's how I want to contact them. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was quite
don't be fake, I think, because they're meeting you, they want to meet you.
Next time when they meet you, they'll be like, who is this?
Exactly, and the minute it's not, they may prefer you as who you are.
Olivia Britton, I think all casting directors, they love footage and they store everything. So, you know, she's talking about short films, tiny bits of, you know, BBC, ITV, any kind of drama that you do, any footage that you've got, they send and they keep. So, it's not that they're throwing CVs away and throwing rubbish away. They just can't reply to people, but they do see everything and they do log everything. So I got actually a really good positive feeling out of most of the casting directors talking about people coming forward and coming forward of their own accord and talking to them, because that's their job and they love doing it, and they're human. They're not these kind of terrifying monsters that are just calling the shots in the film industry or in the stage. On stage and stuff. So yeah, I think that's just a nice point.
And they love actors, and I've written that in capital letters on like my notes. They said we love actors. That's why they do the job. They love the sort of people that we are. So yeah, show that you're a lovely person and they'll love you.
I'm going to speak a bit about kind of when I went to the Hammond Cox commercial casting talk. Michael Cox was talking. He basically broke down what it's like for the casting directors during a commercial casting, and this is something I knew nothing about, and I think it's very useful for people if you do get put up for a lot of commercials and you go through this process. It's quite nice to know what's on the other side, what's happening. So he basically said it's not just the casting directors who get to decide on the casting. There are 4 groups of people. So there'll be the client, such as, I don't know, Coca-Cola, or the person that is employing these people that want the advert, and then there's the director, and the production company. So there's the director who's directing the commercial, and then there's the production company who is basically producing the commercial. So there's the client, there's the production company, there's the agency, which are employing the production company. I don't know. But anyway, there's
a lot of people.
There's a lot of people. There's a chain of people, right? And what he called it was tiers of approval. So do not be disheartened if you get penciled for a commercial and then you're released, because basically you can get penciled and the casting director will love you, but it just takes the client to turn around and be like, oh, that's not really what we were looking for. That's not what we had in our mind, and then you get released, and it's not up to the casting directors. They could have loved your performance, but yeah, there's several different people that need to make the decision. And they did say that what they do is, so when they send out a brief, they will get, Hammond Cox get between 1,000 and 2,000 submissions. They'll bring in 20 to 25 people. Fun fact here, at least 4 or 5 will not show up.
Wow.
To the actual casting. Yeah, I know. So yeah, that's just a fact. Then they go through all the lists on Facebook. They get everyone's profile kind of in a big list.
Facebook.
Spotlight. They go through everyone's profile on Spotlight, and they can basically yes, no, or maybe people. So so they kind of like tend to maybe people or yes people that they know can do the job. So people they've met, people they've seen for castings before, people they basically know can act and could do a good job. And then they'll be looking at headshots. Then they'll be looking at whose headshot stands out, who looks like the person. And then it would basically be on the day 8 to 10 minutes per person. But we will be speaking about in the room stuff in the next episode.
And the last point for this episode is social media. Because on Twitter, lots of casting directors are on there. You can find out about lots of castings on there as well. That most of them are on there. You can learn a bit about their personality. And honestly, if you go into the room not knowing a thing about them, and like we heard one of these stories where the actor went into the room and said, "Oh, so what are you up to at the moment?" And the casting director called the agent and was like, "Your actor just asked the director what he's up to at the moment," and it was like this giant director. And so like learn a bit about them from social media, because they might be up for like an award or something, which you can be like
homework.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's Twitter. And
follow us on Twitter, please, at MintFaceProd.
So yeah, there's the part of you researching them and also your own image on social media and on Twitter, because you need to also have a good profile as well.
So a lot of seminar leaders from surviving actors, like Carleen Crawford, Olivia Britton, they all, and a few more actually, they said they don't care about your social media, whether how many followers you've got or anything. There's a lot of pressure, I think, now to be on social media, and I think the last thing actors need is to then worry about trying to buy followers or just trying to get loads of followers to look like they have a big social presence.
I'm glad I've been asked for my Twitter handle.
See, that's really odd because I think that's the thing in the stage recently about people that have auditioned.
I think Matt Hemley wrote it.
Who did?
Matt Hemley wrote an article about the people asking.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
Which I think is really odd. I mean, there's conflicting views on it. I guess the good side will be if you've got a big following and they put a name onto a show that is going to put bums on seats.
No,
let's
they
say.
shouldn't be doing that.
But on the other hand, people can buy followers.
I disagree. I think if people are asking for how many followers you've got, then tell them to do one.
I also
a lot of people on Twitter, though, a lot of casting directors have come online and disputed that. Like a lot of the big ones.
Yeah.
So I think
it was just on the article was so funny because they were like, oh, I didn't get the part because they only had like a few dozen thousand followers. I was like, I've got like 12. I was like, I'm never going to be cast for anything again.
The other article I read was one person said she had 100,000 followers, and the other one that got cast had 140,000. And I was like, I haven't even got 140, let alone 140,000.
That was the one that I read as well.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So. The casting directors and surviving actors, they said that actually what really matters is your spotlight. How they bring you in on how you look, if you look right for the part, your show reel, and what really matters is that those 2 minutes or whatever on camera that you deliver your performance. And if they love it, then chances are they'll cast you. It doesn't matter how many followers you've got.
Exactly. And to summarise all of that, it's just the headshots and the branding and everything that we've just talked about. That is your entry into the industry to meet all these people, and I think that is a really good place to end the first part of our Surviving Actors podcast. Amazing. We will see you in the next episode.
Sorry,
Goodbye.
See you
on the flip side.
See you on the flip side.
So bad, please. Please can we not have that?
And end.